thank you for being here. I really appreciate you guys being here. One of the most important things is that we're going to spend 30 minutes of time together, and I value your time. So in 30 minutes, I want you in and out of here so you can go home and spend time with your families. I value that. And I value my time with my family, so I appreciate you taking the time to be here. Ultimately, when we go through everything, there's always a lot of information. And what I ask of the individuals that come in is be open-minded. Don't just sit and just say, okay, I'm here at the class and I'm not going to learn anything. Please be open-minded enough to take a nugget home, share it with someone, or maybe it's something that you've heard before that just had to be reiterated. Understand that these workshops are for you as much as they are for me, because it keeps me focused on the work that I do and when I'm helping you. One of the reasons we do this is that we find that an individual that is educated about what they're doing about their health will make better decisions when they have a choice. And understanding that, oh, well, maybe I should do this instead of this, or, it's just the choices that we make, and you have a choice. You can decide to be here or not. You can decide to be under care and do something different, because this office is definitely different than most of the offices that I know, or you can decide not to, and it may not be a fit. And I applaud the fact that you've chosen something different, and I wanted to say thank you. Having said that, tonight, we are going to address supplementation and things that are going on in your dietary habits and things that you may do to help with that. Having said that, it's not the end-all be-all. Okay, you have to understand something. You can't just change your diet and expect the rest of your health to change. It's a part of a greater whole, and you need to understand those things. And ultimately, if you're doing it from a symptomatic standpoint, hey Francine, if you're doing it from a symptomatic standpoint, can you sign in for me, hon? If you're doing it from a symptomatic standpoint, that's not really the best way to approach it. The best way to approach it is to approach it from a standpoint of prevention and actually getting the genetically congruent foods that we need that will allow us to heal. Last week we did a workshop on epigenetics, and for those of you that were here, you understand that environment has a great effect on our genes and our genetic makeup. And in dietary habits, there's a huge, vast array of environmental changes that we can make. Thinking about that, if you think about our system of life that we have on this planet Earth, it's a huge ecosystem. We have trees that help us produce carbon dioxide in air. We have power that comes through. We have solar panels now that will help with bringing electricity that's naturally coming from the sky rather than using it from a grid. These things are important. When you think about these things, what are the choices that you're doing? What are the choices that you're making? But we need to think of ourselves that way too, because we are an ecosystem amongst ourselves. If you think about the number of cells that we have in the average human adult, it's 70 trillion cells. So if you can very easily compare that to a lot of different things on the earth, but we are just a microcosm of a larger ecosystem, and we need to understand that what we do to our own ecosystem will actually affect others also. So having said that, what is supplementation? Who would like to sort of explain what supplementation is? Anybody? Go ahead, Michelle.
Adding something to make sure that what you're getting is up to stuff.
Up to a certain standard,
yeah.
Right, okay. So that's a great explanation, because supplementation means adding something to something that you're doing already to improve upon it, okay? It means to improve upon it or to help to get you to a certain standard that we're looking at. That's important to understand, because you can't take a supplement and expect to stay healthy if that's all you're doing. Okay? Because the supplement is there. It is a supplement. You okay, hon? You need water? You good? Okay. So a supplement is there actually for that. It's to help supplement what you are already doing. And that's the key to everything that's going on. one of the problems with supplementation is a lot of people say, here, take this for your memory, take this for your stomach, here, take this for aches and pains, here, take this. If you're doing that with a supplement that you're taking, even whether it's natural or an herb, okay, what are you doing?
Masking, whatever it is.
You're practicing medicine.
from-
You are practicing
licensed.
medicine. You're practicing medicine. You really are, because what you're doing is you're doing it to address a symptom or a sign. Okay, I'm not saying it's not necessarily a bad thing. There are things that we have to look at, but that's what you're doing. So the supplementation, the way you look at it, and I have this discussion with the people that I deal with, the supplement companies that I deal with. I have this discussion with them. I go, I do not give supplements to people because they are hurting. That is the wrong reason to give it to somebody. Okay, because a supplement is just that. It's there to improve upon or help to get you to a certain level. Having said that, who knows what RDA stands for?
Recommended daily allowance.
Right. And do you know where this comes from?
The FDA, corporations.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, basically, according to FDA, you know, I mean, so the thing is, and these are minimum requirements that they talk about. Minimum. So people are like, oh, I got my recommended daily allowance of whatever it is. You got the minimum of it. The minimum of anything is not always the best. Okay, it just means that's what you need. Okay, there are certain proteins that are essential, like essential amino acids that you need that you can't get from certain foods and that you can't create internally. You have to actually get them from the foods you eat. And that's a further, more advanced class that we talk about. But there are certain ones, there are certain essential amino acids and proteins that you can't produce yourself that you actually have to eat. Okay, and that are congruent with our diet. So those are the big things that we have to look at. I have this discussion with vegetarians a lot. Who's a vegetarian? Anybody a vegetarian? Okay, so I'm not in trouble if I say this stuff. No, I'm just kidding. I think vegetarian eating is actually very healthy. The problem is a lot of the times they're lacking in certain proteins. Okay, and you have to have those. If you look at if you look at our ancestors and our genetic makeup, we were made to actually have some meats. Okay, some meats. But the thing is, when our ancestors ate those things, the meats that they ate were usually wild game and caught, and those wild game meats were usually high in what?
Natural protein.
Yeah, natural proteins and omega-3 fatty acids. Okay, this is something that the omega-3 fatty acids are important, and there's also omega-6 and omega-9s. Okay, but this is a big one and that we're going to talk about here that a lot of people don't get enough of. Why?
Too much junk food.
Processed foods, junk foods. Okay, the standard American diet, okay, everybody knows what that stands for, right? S-A-D.
Yeah, it makes me sad.
The standard American diet is lacking in most of the nutrients that we need. Okay, so the big thing that you have to look at is, do you know where your food is coming from? Okay, that's the first thing you have to look at to see if you are getting the proper nutrients that you need. You don't start with supplements, you look at your food first. Look at the foods that you're eating first, making sure to see what you're lacking in, then look at the supplements. If you are lacking in it. My father was very funny when he was alive. He would always say, "Why do I need to take vitamins? I'm just going to get it from my food. You know, I'll get everything I need from my food." And yeah, maybe when he was growing up, maybe he was getting a lot of that stuff. But maybe if he took better care of himself, he would have lived longer. I don't know. Okay, but the thing is, but he ate a lot of things that a lot of other people didn't eat because of the way that he was raised. He ate more of a Mediterranean type diet. Okay, so he ate more fish, he ate more of the high natural proteins that will give you the omega-3 fatty acids. So this is actually a genetically congruent with our diets that we need. Omega-3s are also important for, they usually come from fish oils, and there's different types, okay? There's different types. There's EPA, and it's very highly studied now. I mean, the research is out, DHA, there's also ALA, okay? So the thing is, there's an equivalency that you're supposed to have of a balance, and usually the ALA, which is alpha linoleic acid, is usually in a ratio, of about 4:1 to 1:1 with EPA. Okay, so these are the two that you're looking at from, but these two numbers here, okay, are supposed to be in a 1:1 ratio. And what do you think the number is? What do you think the number is in the standard American diet, the average?
0.
0, I bet.
The
Negative?
ratio is 50:1, this way, 6:3. Okay, and the 6, you need 6 in your diet, but because there's so much of it, guess what it causes?
Cancer. Fat.
Fat, cancer, inflammation, the verdict's out. Okay, that's why, so the thing is, these are one of the supplements that you have to look at. But if you're eating the foods that have naturally acquired amounts of this, you don't need to eat it. So you have to look at your diet and see if you're getting this stuff. Now, if you're eating a lot of fish, like a lot of the Nordic countries, they eat a lot of fish, but they don't eat like, big fish. They eat small fish, so there's less likely, mercury poisoning and things of that nature that are in there. And wild-caught salmon, obviously better than farm-raised salmon. You have to be aware of those things that are going on. So supplementation, yes, go ahead.
Is wild game today, like, nutritionally as good?
That's a good question, because it would depend on where it's coming from, because if they're growing up in the wild and the area is not really farmed or depleted, it should be. It should be as equivalent. But because of industrialization and what's in the waters, what's in the waters and those are the other things that you have to look at, because a lot of the times the waters are contaminated or have something in them, so it possibly could get into the musculature or of the animal. So you have to look at where it is. But if you get a wild game that's actually raised, somewhere where there's, a natural forest and not a lot of industrialization, yeah, it's probably going to be about the same. So that's a really good question. That's a very, very good question. So these are important facts. So omega-3 is one that's definitely something that most people in our society are lacking. Okay, is it right for you? For most people it is. For some people it's not. People that are taking any sort of heart medication or blood thinners have to be very careful with omega-3s. Okay, because omega-3s, believe it or not, will thin your blood. They'll also help stop inflammation, but they'll also they also help with the cell membranes or formation of the cell membranes, so they're really good for your neurology. Okay, so this is an absolute requirement in our diet. So is supplementation right for you? If you're not getting it in your diet. And I always stress that. You have to look at what you're doing. So that's one thing we're looking at, What are some of the other things that may be lacking in the standard American diet that we may need?
Minerals.
Minerals. And minerals, and the minerals that are lacking is because the foods, if you don't know where your food is coming from, if the crops aren't rotated, if the food is, it's like mass-produced meats and everything of that nature, you're losing a lot of the minerals that are in there because.
Not shipped properly.
Huh?
And if it's not shipped
And if it's not shipped properly, and that's why if you buy close to home, and that's why I always stress the Johnson's Golden Harvest. We all buy from Johnson's Golden Harvest here in this office. There are locally farmed foods and stuff that they get from people that's local. The closer it is to home, the more nutritious it's going to be, because it has less chance of decaying or cause a lack of minerals. So yes, sometimes we need to be taking minerals, but you can't just take the minerals. Like zinc is an important one because it helps with immune function, but it helps any heavy metal like that, like zinc. Some people take colloidal silver. Some people do with magnesium. They're all important. But magnesium helps with cramping in your joint, in your muscles. Okay, and calcium does too. But if you take too much calcium, guess what it does? It binds you up. Okay, so it's hard to go to the bathroom. So you have to know what's going on. So a lot of athletes, if you're an athlete, like even people that are skiing, people that are doing endurance stuff, like I do the triathlons, a lot of them will actually load up on salts. They'll load up on magnesium, potassium, calcium, because it helps to keep you from cramping. Okay, but you also have to drink lots of water, so it's an important. So is supplementation right for that person? Absolutely, because of what they're doing. But afterward, they have to just rejuvenate everything that's going on. So it is important because they're putting their body through ultimate stresses. So minerals are an important thing. What's a big one that's lacking in the Northeast?
Vitamin D.
Vitamin D. Vitamin D is huge. From a genetically congruent standpoint, vitamin D is right up there with omega-3s. The research is specifically vitamin D3. During the winter months, when the winter months start coming in and it starts getting darker, I actually take 10,000 IUs of vitamin D a day. Okay, it's really inexpensive. You get a jar of 120 tablets for about 20 bucks, 25 bucks, and if you take one 5,000 IU tablet a day, it lasts you 4 months, or an estimate of 4 months. That's $5 a month. It's not really that much. And in most of our diets, we don't get it. Milk is not a good source of it. When people tell me that they drink dairy or they eat, it's not the highest complexity of it, and it's not the best source of it. Vitamin D comes in some of the other natural fruits and vegetables that you have to look at, but you have to eat it in massive quantities to get the amount you need to keep your vitamin D levels up. Milk has sugars in it that sometimes interfere with absorption, so you have to be careful. Vitamin D also helps with parathyroid hormone, which is bone density. Okay, so it's an important aspect to understand. So genetically, this is really important. And if you look back at indigenous societies, and you look back at the foods they were eating, they were naturally high in these foods. But also they were very active. So because they were active, what's happening is they're triggering the response to build bone. And guess what? It's stimulating parathyroid hormone and stimulating the stuff that they need in the body. Now we don't produce the vitamin D, but it's something that we need to look at. So this is genetically, this is another one that we need. There's a third one that a lot of people forget about, and it comes along the lines of dairy, but it's not, okay? Not necessarily. What do you think it is?
Calcium.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay.
Vitamin K is an important one, but it's not genetically congruent with our diets.
Vitamin A.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Nope, it's not a vitamin, and it's not a mineral. It's actually a bacteria.
Probiotics.
Probiotics. Okay? Probiotics are really important. These three things, okay, first you analyze what you're eating and how you're eating. Who eats 5 to 6 times a day? Me too.
Cookies don't count.
Cookies don't count. Okay, and eating 5 to 6 times a day doesn't mean eating huge meals. It just means eating, like if you, for example, who's ever going to Subway? Okay, all right. So everyone's going to Subway. Who orders a 6-inch? Who orders a 12-inch? Okay, so if you took that 12-inch and rather than eat all of it all at once, cut it in half, and eat half of it at 12 and half of it at 2, you've just eaten 2 meals. Okay, but what happens is it helps with the sugar levels in your body and the way your body processes the food. That's the way they have diabetics eat, because the thing is it balances. There's a reason for that though, because our body needs to be able to have that balanced nutritional digestive purpose in order to be able to digest the foods. When we eat a whole big thing like that, what usually happens afterwards?
Lethargic.
Yeah, they call it alkaline tide. That's what happens in our body. It starts to break down the foods and we get lethargic. And if you're getting lethargic after the food you're eating, usually that means there's something wrong with it. A lot, like now, Thanksgiving's coming, right? Everybody blames tryptophan for that's a fallacy. It really is a fallacy. It's not. It's just because you've eaten so much food. I mean, think about it. Who just eats one plate and then sits down? Okay, you do. Okay, do you fall asleep afterwards? No. Well, that's my point. Okay, that's my point. Because people eat so much food and then they sit on the couch and they're like, oh, yeah, let me watch a football. You know, I mean, it's not the tryptophan. Tryptophan is one of the essentials that we need in our body to help with certain certain functions within the cell itself. But again, that's a more advanced workshop that we're talking about. But it's important to understand that in order to get these nutrients to work in your body, they need to be digested. And you need probiotics in your intestines to digest them. We all have bacteria. What happens, I actually, I tweeted or retweeted an article about antibiotic overusage that just came out. And it came out from like the CDC. Okay, so this is, CDC, everybody's gonna listen to that, right? Yeah, everybody knows what CDC is? Center for Disease Control. But the thing is, what's happening is they're giving people antibiotics, and what happens a lot of times when people take antibiotics?
It kills the good stuff.
It kills the good stuff, and they get diarrhea or they get some sort of stomach upset. Okay, so it's important to have the probiotics in there. It is impossible to get enough probiotics in a single thing of yogurt on a daily basis. Okay, I mean, you need billions of organisms in order to be, and it sounds gross, but the thing is, it helps you to digest the foods. So one of the problems is you have to look and review the foods that you're eating and say, okay, are they intestinally sound? Okay, and then if you need to cleanse, we do a whole class on detoxification, I think in January. If you need to cleanse, you cleanse out your intestinal system, and then what you do is you start reintroducing foods. And if you are lethargic after you eat a certain food, guess what?
Don't eat it.
Don't eat it. It's not good for you. Okay, there's a reason why we get lethargic after certain things. Like, you give me a slice of pizza. One, pizza in itself is not the best foods in the world, but I love pizza. Grew up in New York City, you know, the best pizza in the world, in my mind. And I put garlic on it, like fresh garlic, you know, fresh powdered garlic. Half an hour later, you're gonna find me passed out on the floor somewhere because what happened, I'm actually allergic to garlic. I love garlic, but in a cooked form, when it's put into pasta or something of that nature, it doesn't make me tired. But when I mix it with a slice of pizza, the cheese and the garlic and everything, it just makes me really tired. It makes me very, very tired. So the thing is, you have to be aware, don't eat to satiate your diet or satiate your palate at that moment. Wait about an hour or two, and if you feel tired afterward, that means that food is affecting you in an improper way. Okay, and it's taking a lot of work for your body to digest that food. So you have to make sure that probiotics are in your diet. My kids actually take probiotics on a daily basis, and during cold season or during flu season, my children have never been vaccinated. They don't get flu vaccinations, they don't get anything. Okay? We increase their dosage of probiotics. Why do we do that?
So they don't have to take
Fight off
shots.
all
Huh?
the stuff. Helps fight off your
It helps fight off, better protection. What'd you say, Michelle?
They don't have to get shots.
They don't have to. What it does is it increases the bacterial load in your body. What happens when you increase the bacterial load in your body?
Produce
It
your
operates more
natural.
efficient.
You produce natural antibodies. Okay, that's why people that do it, and it doesn't mean that they're never going to get sick, but but it does help the process, and it helps things along. With some people, when they start taking probiotics, they do get diarrhea because initially, when you're changing dietary habits, that happens. But you look at supplementation. These 3 supplements are an absolute necessity. Go ahead.
Omega-3 and D3 are pretty much standard on the shelf.
Yes.
They are what
Probiotics too, but you have to find them
Well,
refrigerated.
okay. They are and they aren't. You can buy them dry in pill form, capsule, pill,
Yes.
little round things,
Yeah.
whatever. And yes, there are the refrigerated kind, and there's some have only 2 strains, some have 3 strains,
That's
some
correct.
have 10 billion, some have 30 billion.
Right.
I don't know what I'm looking for. I don't know what to spend my money on.
Okay. So there are lactobacillus. Okay. There's acidophilus. Okay, which is one, and then there's bifidum.
Those
Okay.
are the normal 3 you
Those
see.
are the normal 3. Okay. In most cases, the lactobacillus and the bifidum are the ones you're looking for. The acidophilus you can get from yogurt, but those 2 are the ones that, and they actually work. You're looking for something that has anywhere between 15 to 30 billion organisms.
Why refrigerated versus on the shelf?
Because it's just fresher. It's just a fresher version. The dried versions, they have to like freeze dry it, so you lose something in that process. Okay, and it's also just the way it's processed. You know, if you can get it, the closer you can get to natural form,
Right.
the better it is.
Where would we find natural probiotic?
There's a lot of, you go
On a
to,
dirty vegetable or what?
Granite State, natural probiotic, you mean like,
Yeah, in
nature, it's
where do the
only,
American Indians find it?
well, it's probably, it was in the dirts and the foods that they ate and grew it with. And that's what I was saying, because when you have what we do now is we mass farm, and we don't rotate crops. And,
Right.
okay, so what happens is the minerals and all the nutrients that were in there are lost. So what ends up happening is there's natural bacteria that come from the foods that they're finding from the grounds and the dirts that they're actually eating. That's why one of the big things now is they say, you know, and this is, you know, everybody's so concerned about antibacterial and all this stuff. Crap, let the kids go play in the dirt and eat mud pies.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
let them do it. Okay, obviously you don't want them to eat a lot of bad stuff, but they're gonna do that. It builds their immune function. It builds their immune function. I'm not saying that they shouldn't wash their hands when they come in and they eat, okay, or they shouldn't, touch the dog's bum and then, put it in their mouth, but I mean, come on, let's be real, kids do stuff like that, but the thing is, you have to let them go out and play. You have to let them go out and learn, let their bodies learn, because that's how the body learns. But the thing is, there are some people, supplementation, they need the extra. And the ones that we sell here, and I'm actually reviewing my supplement company right now, because I use Metagenics, but I'm also looking at Standard Process, which is Whole Foods. They have their own farms and stuff, and they're whole food supplements. And I like that because it's more natural, a more natural source. But the thing with the whole food supplements is rather than only taking one tablet, you're taking like 6. And it's like, so it's hard for people to sit there taking all these tablets, because it's, again, I look at it as like taking medicine, it's like, you want to make it easy for people. So the Metagenics supplement probiotic that we use, there's like 3 or 4 different types, depending on the children, what have you, it has 30 billion organisms in it. And it comes in powdered form or it comes in capsules, and you have to keep it refrigerated. It comes refrigerated, and that's why when you buy one that has 30 billion organisms, you know that a majority of them are going to survive in travel. So those are the big things that we're looking at. But the ultimate thing that you have to look at is supplementation going to help you to supplement what you're doing in your diet? Okay, you should be looking at your diet first, the foods that you're eating, and someone look over it, saying what is it lacking. Okay, but these 3 things, regardless of what your diet is, are an absolute necessity. Okay, and then you look at, and they're saying that, in our diet, yeah, supplementation is something that we need to do, because we don't get a lot of the nutrients, the minerals, everything that we need. So a good multivitamin is important. We do with what I do here with Metagenics is I get the wellness packs. I'm all about convenience, because if I have to think too much about it, I'm not going to do it. Okay, so the Metagenics packs come with phytonutrient multis. They come usually with an omega-3 fatty acid in it. They come with a vitamin D, and the probiotic you have to buy separately. But they come with the basic stuff that you need. And it's really easy because it's in a packet, so you take one a day and you're done. Okay, that's me. That's what I need. I need simplicity. Okay, I like the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. So those are the big things. So supplementation is an important aspect, and if you have children, you should be giving them some sort of EPA, DHA vitamin B, because it helps with brain development. It helps with brain development, and it helps with. Why are you looking at her like that?
I'm always finding her to take a healthy way.
Well, you know what? But you know what? It's true. You know what? I have the same issue with my daughter, and she does take them now. She does take. She's 15. She doesn't want to listen to me, and she doesn't want. But I say here, she's an athlete. Okay, she needs. She has different requirements. She needs to supplement, because I know she's not eating well. Okay, when she's at school, I'm like, I know she's not eating well. She's worried about getting fat, and I'm like, really?
vitamins
You-
won't
you're
make you
kidding me.
fat.
Okay, the vitamins aren't gonna make you fat, food isn't gonna make you fat. What's gonna make you fat is starving yourself and then eating food, and then eating food. You know, a lot of people like, you know, how is it that you have some people that are super thin and all they do is eat? And all they do is eat. It's because they've kicked up their metabolism so high that their activity level is helping to burn off those things. So it's an important aspect of everything that you look at, and I struggle with it with my daughter, so I totally get it. I struggle, but you know, ultimately, these are the things that you have to let people know about. Because you know what? You can have somebody come in and literally change their health by just changing what they're eating, okay? But then, if you want to kick it up a notch, you want to make sure that the nerve system that's functioning behind it is actually helping you to absorb that stuff. Okay, because you can eat all the good food in the world. If you don't have good gut bacteria, and you don't have the nervous system saying, okay, I need this and I need this, okay, you might as well, you're getting like 40% of what you're doing. You know, I mean, if you have a subluxation, 60% of the communication is interrupted right off the bat. Okay, so you might be getting 40% of what you're doing. Is that better than nothing? Yeah. Okay, but it's important that when you do that, that you look at every aspect of your health. Okay, because nutrition is a foundation, but you can live without a lot of foods for a long period of time, 3-4 weeks. Okay, you can't live without neurology. Okay, and if you look at the people that are around you, and you don't say something to them about trying to take care of themselves, you're just as guilty as they are. Just by saying, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to start a fight or I don't want to start an argument. Okay, just by omission, you're just as guilty as they are. You have to say something to somebody if you care about them. Because if you don't care, then go on your merry way. But you know what? We're all here learning about that stuff, and we do care about the people that are out there, because otherwise we wouldn't be here. And I thank you for being here, and I really, really appreciate it, because do not let a chance go by that you have. If you know somebody is not taking care of themselves, say, hey, bring them to a workshop, let them at least learn. 30 minutes. They want to get adjusted? Great, okay? That's up to them. That's not why they're here. They're here to learn. And if they can learn, they're going to go out and they're going to teach other people. But then when they understand that why chiropractic is part of their health. They understand why supplementation is part of their health. They understand why they're doing the things they're doing, and that makes for a much different community. Thank you very, very much for coming. You guys have a great night. Half an hour. Woohoo! Oh, I gotta turn this off. I always forget. Time to eat something and go to the pool. Yay!
So how,
Yeah.